Many years ago, in a city known as Owerri, there lived a young man named Chima. Chima was a responsible young man and was doing really well for himself. He worked in an insurance company and had distinguished himself over time in his office. He shared office space with Chinedu and Uche and had worked with them for over 5 years, and they had become really close. So they were not just colleagues but had become best friends. So after the close of work every day, Chima, Chinedu and Uche would hang out to eat nkwobi and wash it down with a glass of chilled palm wine at their favorite spot, Mama Anambra on Calabar Street. Chima, Chinedu and Uche were all bachelors and were looking at settling down as soon as possible. One day, Chinedu had come to work looking very excited. He kept on humming and singing and smiling as he worked. Chima and Uche noticed the overexcitement on Chinedu's face and wanted to know why their friend was very excited. So Chima broke the silence and said, "My guy, this one you are smiling and happy like this. We've been waiting for you to tell us the reason. But as you no wan talk now, I say make I ask you, wetin dey sup? What is happening? Why are you this excited?" Chima asked. Chima, I am in love oh. I met this lady yesterday and she's not just very beautiful, but intelligent too. She's warm, receptive, humble. As far as I'm concerned, I've seen my wife oh. My search for a wife has automatically come to an end. Her name is Ifeyinwa, and you see this girl, I must marry her. Chinedu said, beaming with excitement. My guy, congratulations oh, Uche said as he hugged Chinedu. Congrats oh, Chinedu. But before I can tell you congratulations in full, I need to ask you, what does she do? Or who is she? Or at least, where is her family from? Chima asked Chinedu, looking concerned. What kind of question is that now? Does it matter what she does? I do very well and I can provide for my family. Anyway, to answer your question, she's a teacher and she teaches at a secondary school. And I have no problem with it, Chinedu replied. It matters what she does though. You want to marry an ordinary teacher? My guy, you mess up oh. Gone are the days when men marry women from the gutters and brush them up. What men are looking for now are valuable women. Women that bring something of value to the table. A woman that has a thriving career, that has money, ego, influence and power. So that when both of you come out, people will be admiring you as a power couple. Don't you want to see the likes of Tony Elumelu? See him and his wife now. True definition of a power couple. Chima said, laughing. Bia Chima, mind your language when you're referring to Ifeyinwa. I know she's not yet my wife, but she will become my wife one day. Ifeyinwa is a good woman. She's virtuous and would give me peace of mind. And that is all that matters to me. She's not lazy and would have all our lives to build our career. Besides, this Tony Elumelu and wife that you are referring to, did they just become big overnight? And if you're asking what Ifeyinwa brings to the table, she brings peace of mind, virtues, character. She will sacrifice her body to bear my children. She would forsake her father's name to answer my name. She will submit her will to mine. She would help me and would join hands with me in building a family and running my home. That is what she brings to the table, and it is enough. Everything is not about money, Chinedu replied angrily. Don't mind him, Jare, Uche replied. Leave him, shebi he's not yet married. We'll be here to see the woman that he will marry and what she will bring to the table. Since everything for Chima is about career and money and influence and power, let us see whether his own wife will be a British citizen with 5 houses in London and 10 houses in Lagos, and maybe she would even be the president of Nigeria, Uche said as he laughed heartily. Don't worry nah, when you both see my wife, you'll be shocked. She will be the full package. You would see the immense value that she brings to my life. You might be lucky, self, a word from her on your behalf. Might even change your own lives, Chima replied fiercely as they all laughed it off. A few months later, Chinedu got married to the love of his life, Ifeyinwa. They were so happy. Chima and Uche both served as best men in his wedding. Chinedu was very happy. In barely 3 months after he got married, he had already put on some weight. He was even glowing too. Ifeyinwa was taking very good care of him. She always packaged sumptuous meals for Chinedu to go to work with, which he happily shared with his friends. As they all ate the food that Chinedu brought from home, Uche would usually tease Chima and say, "Hope your future wife, your Mrs. Valuable Woman, will be able to cook for you and take good care of you the same way Ifeyinwa is taking care of Chinedu. See how he's glowing and he has even put on some weight," Uche would say, and they would all laugh. Don't worry, my woman will be the full package. You would see what she brings to the table now. Continental dishes or intercontinental dishes, so she'll be able to do everything. Just wait and see, Chima would reply, and they would all laugh it off. A few months later, Uche also fell in love with a young lady named Kamsi, who was a seamstress. And as usual, when he shared the news with his colleagues, Chima and Chinedu, who were now his best friends, Chima wasted no time in making his displeasure well known to Uche, telling him that he should have gone for a woman of value and that brought much to the table and not a mere seamstress. But Uche and Chinedu still lectured and reminded Chima that money and a seemingly polished or admired career such as being a doctor or lawyer were not what made a woman valuable or not. But after a few months, Uche got married to Kamsi. And as expected, his friends Chima and Chinedu were in attendance at the wedding as well. They were so happy for him. Uche was also very happy in his marriage. His new wife Kamsi gave him peace and took very good care of him. So Uche and Chinedu were both happily married and had peace of mind. And at every slightest opportunity, they tried to advise Chima to change his views on the kind of woman that he must marry. But it was to no avail. There were a lot of decent women hanging around Chima, such as Nneka and Glory, who were virtuous and very hardworking. But as usual, Chima paid no interest to them because Nneka was a businesswoman who had a big store in the market where she sold bags. And Glory, on the other hand, was a seamstress. Chima complained that they did not bring anything of value to the table. He could not see himself being married to a market woman or a tailor when they were prestigious professions like doctors, lawyers, engineers, pilots, and so on. He also complained that they were not from rich homes or related to prominent families. He stated that at least if they did not have prestigious professions, then they should at least come from influential homes. Every advice that Chinedu and Uche gave to Chima fell on deaf ears. 5 years later, Chinedu and his beautiful wife Ifeyinwa already had 2 children. Also, Uche and his wife Kamsi also had 2 children. Chinedu and Uche had also been promoted, so they no longer shared the same office space with Chima. Chima, on the other hand, was still a bachelor. He was still in search of his Mrs. Right, Mrs. Prestigious Career, Mrs. Valuable Woman. He had missed a lot of good women because of his unrealistic requirements. Chinedu and Uche had given up on Chima. They were just eager to see the woman that Chima would finally end up with. And even though they no longer shared office with Chima, as they had both been promoted, they still shared their lunch with him every day. And that was where they all chatted and bonded and was brought to speed with what was happening in each other's lives. On one of the days when they were bonding over the meal they had brought from home, Chima was so excited and said, "I have good news to share. I have finally found the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. She is so beautiful. She's slender. If you see shape, she's curvy. She also has pointed nose and is quite tall too. Oge is a spec. She's everything and more. Chima said, smiling excitedly. My guy, finally. I can't wait to see this Oge lady, Biko. What does she bring to the table? Uche asked, laughing. Uche, she does not just bring something to the table. She's the whole freaking table. She's a lawyer and a senior partner at her firm, for that matter. And her law firm is one of the biggest in the country. Not only that, she is wealthy. She drives a Range Rover. Then her father is also a politician. You know Mba Oji, a senator in Anambra State. Omo, my babe does not need to bring anything to the table because she's the whole freaking table, Chima said, laughing excitedly. Chima, I worry for you. You have not mentioned a single word as regards her character or virtues, or something intangible. Everything you've been mentioning is vanity upon vanity. A relationship that is leading to marriage needs more than just she's beautiful, she's a lawyer, her father is a politician to thrive. Chima, a word is enough for the wise, Chinedu said, looking concerned. Don't mind him, Jare. Anyways, Chima, when do we get to meet her, Biko? I cannot wait to meet this your woman of value. This your shaker and breaker of tables. This your freaking whole table. This your Indaboski Pahose. Uche said sarcastically. Don't worry, my friends. You'll meet Oge soon. Chima responded excitedly. And with that, they continued eating and drinking and laughed and talked about other things. A few weeks later, Chima had arranged a meeting with Oge and his friends. They were all to meet after the close of work at a nice restaurant. Chima had called Oge during the day and told her to come to the night out restaurant as he wanted to introduce her to his best friends. So after the close of work, Chima, Chinedu and Uche all went to the night out restaurant so as to meet with Oge. They were all seated and talking over a drink, waiting patiently for Oge to arrive. And in a few minutes, a tall glass of fine wine walked into the restaurant. Oge was elegant. Her strides were graceful. She was really very beautiful. She was really everything that Chima had described. As soon as Chima saw her, he stood up excitedly to hug her, saying, "My love, you look so beautiful today. Hope it was not difficult locating this place." Chima asked excitedly, but he was met by a very swift reprimand. "Why would you ask me to come to this kind of place? This place is for lowlifes. It's disgusting. It's not suitable for someone of my standing in the society," Oge said, looking around the restaurant condescendingly. Chinedu and Uche pinched themselves, and Uche muttered under his breath and said, "Ewo, Chima don't enter one chance." So Chinedu replied and said, "Shebi he's looking for Mrs. Prestigious. He has found one." They both chuckled under their breath. Chima, on the other hand, felt too embarrassed at how Oge responded and spoke to him in front of his friends. He tried to cover it up with a smile and went ahead and said, "Babe, I'm sorry for the stress. Here are my friends, Chinedu and Uche," Chima said, faking a smile. Uche and Chinedu both got up to extend a handshake to Oge, but she looked at them condescendingly and refused their handshake as she sat down, crossing her legs. Uche and Chinedu did not say a word. They just smiled and sat down. Chima, on the other hand, felt so embarrassed he didn't know how to act or behave. Oge did not spend up to 5 minutes when she spoke up and said, "All right, Chima, I think I have honored your invitation already, and I think it's time for us to leave this place ASAP before the poverty in this place chokes me to death," Oge said as she stood up, and Chima followed quickly behind her, like a lamb following its owner to the slaughter, while apologizing to his friends with his eyes. Chinedu and Uche sat there looking shocked as Chima and Mrs. Prestigious walked away. Hey, Chima don't enter one chance, so this one is a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. Chima don't enter hot pot of boiling soup, Uche said as both him and Chinedu laughed. Biko, let us go back to our good wives, Chinedu said as they both picked up their bags and left. The following day at the office, during their lunch break when they all bonded over their home-cooked meals, Chima apologized profusely to his friends and said, I'm so sorry for Oge's behavior last night. She had a terrible day. She also sent her apologies. Please forgive her. Chima said, looking apologetic. Don't bother yourself. There is no need to apologize. And trust me, I know she did not send any apology, so save it. But if you know what is good for you, run. Run for your life. That Oge is not it, oh. Chima, a word is enough for the wise, oh, Uche said. Come on now, you can't judge her based on one encounter now, haba. Besides, I go nowhere. Oge is everything and more. She's a wife material. She's a prestigious woman. We would both be a power couple, Chima said, smiling foolishly. At this point, Uche and Chinedu gave up trying to speak sense into Chima. So in a few months' time, Chima and Oge both got married. It was a flamboyant wedding and graced by politicians, dignitaries from all over the country. Chima did not need to contribute a dime to the wedding. Oge's parents sponsored everything. They even gifted their daughter a brand new car and house in Banana Island as their wedding gift. Chima felt like he was on top of the moon. This was the life he had dreamt of, a life of influence and power. Uche and Chinedu also attended the wedding, but they stood in the sidelines, just watching everything and pitying their friend Chima. They knew that this marriage was definitely a mistake. A few weeks after Chima's wedding, he was back to the office. He had gone to the Maldives for his honeymoon, which was sponsored by Oge's parents. His friends Chinedu and Uche were very happy to have him back at the office. The newest married man on the block, the power couple. Welcome back. We missed you. How is Madam now? Our Mrs. Valuable, Mrs. Prestigious, the whole table, the Indabo skipper Hose. Chinedu and Uche said, smiling. Chima looked so happy. My wife is fine, oh, he replied, smiling excitedly. So they all gisted and laughed, bringing themselves to speed with what was happening in each other's lives. So Chima and Oge continued to live together happily. However, Chima began to notice a few things in Oge's behavior. Oge always shouted at him at every slightest opportunity. She ordered him around like her boy. Each time she got back from work, she would sit in the parlor, crossing her legs, then would order her husband, Chima, to come and remove her shoes. Chima, please come and remove my shoes for me. I'm so tired. And while you're at it, can you please give me a gentle foot massage? My legs are aching. I stood up all day in Kurt's day. And please, as you're coming over, can you please pour me a glass of red wine? Oge would ask. The first time Oge made this request, Chima was quite shocked. But he did it anyways. He gave her a glass of wine and removed her shoes and massaged her foot while Oge sipped on her red wine. However, this became a pattern. Oge began to demand it as of right. Every day she came back from work, and when Chima protested and refused to remove her shoes and massage her foot, Oge would scream angrily and say, "You should be lucky that I married you. You are not in my class or level at all. If not for me, would you have ever entered the plane in your life? You had better be careful, else I will throw your things out of my house. Remember, this house is a gift to me by my father, and the car too. You would never have been able to live in Banana Island if not for me. So you better be careful how you speak to me, else my father will deal with you." Oge would scream angrily. And with that, Chima would drop to his knees, remove Oge's shoes, and massage her feet while she sipped on red wine and watched the television. Oge also never cooked any meals. She did not even know how to cook and was not interested in learning. Rather, they would always order meals. So one day, Chima complained and said, "Babe, please, we cannot continue to order fast food every day. It's not good for our health. Besides, I've always desired to eat homemade meals when I get married. I do not know how to cook, but I have been looking forward to eating my wife's food when I finally get married. Yet you have never cooked for me, not even once." Chima said sadly. "I don't understand you, Chima. What were you expecting when you wanted to marry me? Do you expect me, a woman of my class, a partner in one of the topmost law firms in Lagos, to be cooking food when I should be in court? If you wanted a domesticated woman, why didn't you go to the village and pick up a wife? Besides, when did cooking become gender specific? If you really want to eat homemade meals, then prepare it yourself." Oge replied back angrily. Chima was shocked. Then he replied and said, "Okay, then let us get a chef who will cook for us. We cannot keep eating junk. It is not good for our health." Chima replied angrily, "Well, that would not happen in my house." "Oh, so that when I'm busy working, you'll be busy frolicking around with the cook, Abi? I will not let that," Oge replied back. Chima was frustrated. He would sit in the guest room thinking and crying. He wished he had listened to his friends when they warned him about Oge. This was not the life that he envisaged at all. He had thought severally of confiding in his friends Chinedu and Uche, but he was afraid that they would laugh and mock him. So Chima came up with a plan. He started secretly buying food at a restaurant and pouring it into a food flask. And during lunchtime, when he bonded with his friends Uche and Chinedu, he would bring out the food flask, pretending that it was his wife that had cooked the meal. And things continued like this for up to a year. But Chima was really frustrated at home. Yet he had to keep up appearances at the office. One weekend, he discovered his wife had been taking contraceptive pills, and he got very furious. "Are we not supposed to be trying to have a child? Why are you taking contraceptives?" Chima asked angrily. "Are you joking? So you want me to have a child and destroy my shape? Wonders shall never end. Then what happens to my career afterwards? I should stay at home and be breeding little munchkins as weak as you? Oh no, I'll pass on that," Oge said as she walked out angrily. "Come back here. Don't you dare walk out on me," Chima shouted angrily. "You see, I can take any other thing from you, but not this. Say anything you want, speak to me anyhow, no problem. But you see, preventing me from having children of my own is a no-no." Chima shouted as he pushed Oge. Oge turned around and looked at Chima shocked and said, "You dare lay your filthy fingers on me, Abi? I will deal with you," Oge said angrily. And immediately she picked up her phone and called her father. And in a few seconds, there were policemen at her doorstep. They went ahead and arrested Chima, who was screaming out his lungs and crying, saying, "I'm sorry, Oge, I'm sorry. You know I did not hit you. Police officers, please, I did not hit my wife, oh. We were just having a normal couple's quarrel, oh. Please, please." But all Chima's pleas fell on deaf ears. Oge simply stood there with a mischievous grin on her face as they whisked her husband Chima away. Few hours later, Chinedu and Uche were at the police station. They were surprised to see Chima, who was already in tears, weeping and wailing. They bailed him out as they tried to comfort him, but Chima was inconsolable. They took him to Chinedu's house to cool off. Chima narrated all that he had been going through in the hands of his wife to his friends, and how he used to buy restaurant food and pour into his flask to pretend as though it was his wife that cooked the food. Chima was, however, surprised that his friends Chinedu and Uche knew that it was restaurant food. Of course, we knew it was restaurant food now. Restaurant food always have the same unique scent, Uche said, laughing. Ah, I have suffered though, my friends, I have suffered. I wish I had listened to you both. I should have looked out for a virtuous woman that has good character rather than a rich and influential woman. Now see what I have been reduced to. Now they are locking me in the police station. Oh, Chima said, crying. His friends, Chinedu and Uche, tried their best to console him. A few days later, when Chima had resumed work, he was surprised to see a document waiting for him on his desk. Oge had asked Chima for a divorce. Chima broke down crying. They were not even up to 2 years old in their marriage and he was getting divorced. This was not the kind of life he envisaged for himself. Chinedu and Uche comforted him, but Chima knew that he had no choice but to sign the papers. He also had no money or anything at all to his name. Oge had thrown his things out of the house. He had nowhere to go. So he had to go and squat with Chinedu in his home until he was able to find his foot again. The few months that Chima lived with Chinedu, he saw how Ifeyinwa, Chinedu's wife, treated him like a king when they both came back from work. How she hugged and welcomed Chinedu with a feast of delicious meals already waiting for him. Chima saw how happy Chinedu was, how his 2 children were well behaved and responsible. He also even realized that alongside the teaching job that Ifeyinwa had, that she also worked remotely for a UK company and earned almost ×5 of what her husband Chinedu earned. Yet she was still very submissive and homely. Chima realized that he had been a fool. He had been focusing on the wrong things, looking for beauty and class and a good profession, when indeed he should have been looking for a good woman who has good virtues and character, and who together they could build a meaningful life with and enjoy peace and happiness. Chima stayed awake several nights thinking of his wrong decisions and weeping. He compared himself to his friends Uche and Chinedu. The both of them had gotten promoted since they got married. They had even built their own houses and had children and had peace of mind. Meanwhile, him on the other hand, has been from one chaos to the other. He had lost everything since he got married. His marriage had taken him 10 times backwards because he married the wrong woman. Yet marriage had made his friends 10 times better because they married the right woman. Chima swore to himself that if he was ever going to get married again, he would focus on good virtues above beauty and looks. He swore that he would never look for an already made woman, but a woman that they could both build their lives together. Hi besties! Thank you again for watching my videos to the end. I would love to hear your thoughts on this controversial issue of what women should bring to the table in a marriage. What do you think a man or woman brings to the table in the marriage? Please let me know your thoughts. I would really love to hear them. And to my viewers who have not subscribed, please tell me, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Please support your homegirl Omalicha by subscribing to my channel. Also, to my returning subscribers, you know how we roll here. I love you all so much. Thank you for your constant support. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please share with your loved ones, and also do not forget to turn on the notification bell. Now, until I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye!